The year was 1876. The United States was celebrating its 100th birthday, and countries came from all over the world to celebrate. What better place to celebrate than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? The 1876 Centennial Exposition introduced the United States to such items as popcorn, bananas, Hires root beer, Lady Liberty's arm and torch, the telephone, and Japan brought kudzu, the gift that keeps on giving. Kudzu is a legume that belongs in the same family as alfalfa, beans, lentils, peas, and soybeans. It's an amazing plant with a shadowy past. The actual history of kudzu spread began in 1902 when Charles Pleas of Chipley, Florida, planted the vine to hide his trash barrels. The vine grew so well that Pleas and his wife Lily began selling kudzu cuttings through the mail from their Glenarden nursery around 1910. They promoted it as forage for the livestock. Shortly thereafter, the government took notice. In an effort to keep livestock fed, coupled with the Great Depression, the Civilian Conservation Corps brought in hundreds of young men in the early 1930s to plant what they thought was an agricultural advancement. In the 1940s, farmers were paid as much as $8 an acre to plant the voracious vines. In 1953, the United States Department of Agriculture removed kudzu from a list of suggested cover plants, and by 1970 it was listed as a weed. In 1997, the plant was placed on the federal noxious weed list. Today, kudzu is estimated to cover about 8 million acres of land in the southeastern part of the United States. There are people who take advantage of this bountiful growth of vegetation, and they have discovered a variety of uses for kudzu. Paper, baskets, and folk art can be either made or purchased. Kudzu has a considerable number of medicinal uses, including increasing circulation, blocking cancer cells from reproducing, and assisting with alcoholism, just to name a few. The blossoms have a strong grape-like aroma and have a flavor that is between an apple and a peach. Jelly, tea, syrup, and wine can be made from these blossoms. The leaves have recipes such as quiches, casseroles, and stir-fries, and they can be deep-fried or even put fresh into a salad. Kudzu has a dark side as well. It is known as the vine that ate the South and the mile-a-minute vine. The tenacious tentacles can grow up to 1 foot per day in the summertime. Legends in the South range from the importance of keeping the windows closed at night so the kudzu does not steal the children, to how kudzu will strangle the hogs in the dark. They say if you stand outside at night, you can hear it grow, but it might grab your ankles if you do. This takes kudzu from invasive status to thug status. The mile-a-minute vine will devour abandoned vehicles. Kudzu will pull down power poles or turn them into monsters. Kudzu will take empty homes back to nature. That is just the tip of the iceberg. With the rate and direction that kudzu grows, it creates a huge sun-blocking canopy for smaller plants and trees. This inhibits their growth or completely eliminates them, and finding a way to control kudzu has been an agricultural nightmare. This is not the only way that kudzu is damaging the ecology. A recent study found that nitric oxide that was emitted from the soil was significantly higher in areas where kudzu had taken over. The most extreme case of widespread kudzu would result in a greater than 25% increase in nitric oxide emissions from the soil. The increase in nitric oxide would then contribute to an increase in ozone levels. In areas of the country most vulnerable to changes in nitric oxide levels, like Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee, the kudzu-related increase in ozone could add as many as 7 additional high ozone episodes during the summer when ozone levels are at their highest. Cutting back the voracious vine is a continuous job, and pulling the roots is labor and cost intensive, especially for the small farms. Even then, any bits or pieces left behind could be potential for regrowth. Kudzu does not necessarily need its seed to repopulate itself. It can grow again from any portion of the shoots and stems that are left behind, and most important, the root. The root has the potential to lie dormant for up to 10 years and start to grow again, and is almost impossible to remove. As more and more is discovered about this invasive species, it has become known that kudzu just does not want to be eradicated. But if the root crown is killed, it will cease to exist. How can that be done without destroying other vegetation? Fortunately, a young man from Valdosta, Georgia, by the name of Jacob Schindler, has made a breakthrough discovery in safely exterminating what can be viewed as a nuisance. What began as a sixth-grade science project has started to change the way kudzu is defeated. Taking into consideration that plants take in CO2 and breathe out oxygen, the deep thinker started to ponder, and then he started to experiment. Jacob, also known as the Kudzu Kid, initially designed a device that allowed him to drill into the ground, easily attach a small tank of helium, and more evenly distribute the helium on the kudzu, all without reportedly harming other plants, and has since received the United States Patent 8904703 in December of 2014. This development has the potential to save the undergrowth and vegetation as well as the ozone. Kudzu was brought here to be an ornamental presentation in the 1800s and has successfully transitioned into weed status. One thing is for certain, kudzu needs to be controlled to preserve the native vegetation and foliage. We also need to cut down on the ozone emissions. Now there may finally be a safe way to do that before kudzu comes to a city near you.